Hey everyone, let's paint a portrait of the Gladiolus this week. Okay, so we're gonna grab our spring colors, tape down your piece of paper. I use a 9x12 this week. Grab some NeoColors if you have them, which are these wonderful wax pastels. Grab an 8 or 6 size watercolor brush and some paper towels, a pencil. We're gonna sketch out our portrait of our Gladiolus. First, now when I slow down, you have a beautiful top video, so you're gonna see the whole video. I'm sorry, it got cut off a bit here, but we're gonna paint the distinguishing characteristics of just a couple of buds as they open up. It's a wonderful way to look closer at the details of this beautiful spring flower. I think you're gonna love this project. It really is an eye-opener of the beautiful details. So let's get going together. Hey everyone, well it is time to paint again, and we are in a series of portraits, so flower portraits, and I have chosen some Gladiolus. They are not quite as open as I thought they might be, but that's okay. In fact, this gives us an opportunity. I'm going to bring in the picture a little bit closer to really look at these flowers as they're opening up. And I'm actually going to be painting this portion of the flower right here, where we have very close up of a portrait I have sketched out on a 9x12 piece of paper. I wanted to keep it a little bit bigger this time. And you can see, I know the pencil's a little bit lighter, but you can see where I have done a nice sketch. I've really paid attention to proportions. I'm going to start painting as I talk through it. I did a sketch, and what I normally have noticed when I'm doing these close-ups of flowers is how often, I'm going to get my pink nice and ready here, how often my proportions are a little bit off. And when you're painting up close, you suddenly realize, you know, how much is that petal sticking out as far as proportion to the amount that's covered with the green, right? So looking at how much of my petal right here versus it's about almost as equal to the extent of the stem. And so extending that up, if maybe your petals were a little bit too short, or maybe your stem was, and those are some of those distinguishing characteristics that we can create. I'm also noticing a lot of the ridges within this Gladiolus as it is opening up. I can see them, like for example right over here. I don't know if you can see that, and I'll just show that up a little bit closer and bring back the camera in. And you can see those ridges along with that side. So we'll be adding some purple to the pink and creating some shadows, right, to create that depth. And for right now, though, I'm just using the permanent rose or thalo crimson. If you have that on your palette, that will work out nicely too. And I am going and just laying in some of that initial paint. And you can see in here, I'm actually going to go across and use some of those ridges, those lines as my markers. And the goal too with these is these are 15-minute sessions about, you know, I'm like you, we're all busy, right? But noticing that we do have time in our days, creating in the margins of when you have a little bit of time. I've been painting lots of tulips, but haven't been painting any gladiolus. This is my first bunch, so we're gonna just see how this goes too. It could be a bit of a disaster. Sometimes it is, and that's okay as we're getting warmed up. So over on this one, I don't have very much pink showing up at all, right? In fact, it's quite hidden. So I'm noticing some white. I'm just moving around here, painting what I see. I'm going to grab some purple and mix it in with the pink. I think this is too, I think it was Betty Edwards in one of her books with color and drawing on the right side of the brain, where she has you do drawing upside down. And the reason she has this, because sometimes she teaches that we often will paint what we think is there, not what is actually there. Our brains are filling in all sorts of details for us. So to really paint or sketch exactly what you are seeing and not paying attention to, it should look like this, or it should look like that. And Betty's book, the drawing on the, I think it's for the right side of the brain, the left side, I forget now the title of it, but it really is, it's an excellent book for helping to, it really helped me both with my drawing and painting, of painting what I see, not what my brain thinks is there. And I can always tell when I'm getting a little bit caught up in what I'm thinking that I'm seeing. And it will feel a little bit unnatural sometimes to paint what you see or sketch what you see instead of what is actually there. I'm sorry, to paint what is actually there instead of what you think you should be painting. However, again, just looking at this, I'm paying attention to where I see the light areas and the dark areas, and I'm going to leave those as is. for now, I'm going to pick up some green, and I've got a permanent green, and I think I have a bit of a hooker's green in here too, but it's mostly permanent. And I'm going to come around now, and I'm going to start moving around my buds. And you can notice too that it's actually pretty dark green. I'm seeing some brown, and if you painted with me earlier this year when we were painting roses together, or even last year on the we did a challenge over on Facebook, and we were painting peonies, and we had a lot of pink peonies, and peonies had this beautiful dark, similar to this, that really dark stem that we can create not by incorporating brown, but by incorporating, blending, letting the pink and the green move together. I see probably some yellow in here too, like right over here. So I'm going to grab some yellow, some cadmium yellow, rinse off your brush real well. If you're painting along with me, you might need to grab a paper towel and be careful of getting any green that might get into your yellow. That always kind of messes things up. So I've got a little bit of yellow here, and I see some yellow right in here. I'm just going to do a bit of a wash, and I see a little bit of yellow right in here. So I'm going to touch on that right over here, and then even pulling down. And I'm keeping this semi-wet, I guess, semi-wet, and this is the stem that's moving up. I want my pink to dry a little bit before I introduce the green because I don't want it to blend too much. And I'm just going to move this over here now, and using my size 6 brush, and over here where that stem is protecting it, there is also a bit of white, and so I am going to create a little bit of a line. We'll come back later and erase the pencil marks, and I'm just moving along here. I am going to add in some yellow and let that green and yellow blend. I'm seeing some more yellow over there along with some darker green here, letting that blend in together. And I'm going to go ahead now too on the stem, and you can see too where there's more purple here, that purplish color. So why don't we go ahead and just do a wash right here. I'm going to actually pick up some pink and just lay that pink down right over it. You could mix it in your palette if you want to, but we're just going to move right along and mix it right here. Let those colors dance together, really is what I'm doing. See, I got a little bit of that green in my pink, which I'm not happy about. So I'm going to take a dry brush. Actually, what I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. I'm going to take some green, create that stronger line of that petal wrapping around the flower. The flower wants to burst forth, but we are a little bit early. I'll be popping this flower back in the water once we're done here. But I'm going to take a dry brush with a nice point, and I'm going to bring this in just a little bit more so you can see that here. And I'm just going to soak up some of that green that got in because I don't want any green in that pink. And I'm even, you can see I'm blending it a little bit, and that's actually fine. We're creating that bit of that brownish kind of color, which is what I want. And so I'm just going to take that dry brush and direct those colors. Lovely. You can see too where the paint is almost soaking in together, and I like that. I like that. That creates a depth that I want. I'm going to grab a little bit of purple, go back and mix it in with the pink or the crimson that I have here, and I am going to go ahead and just dab on the ends right over here. Moving this down, we're just using a couple of colors. I think so far we just have 4 colors on this. So I love that. I'm going to get pretty heavy on the pink too. I don't have too much purple. It's really just to add in some depth. I want to keep it a brighter pink if possible, especially right here where I'm seeing a lot more of the light pink. And I think I had a little bit of yellow in the corner, so I'm mixing that in with the pink, and I'm going to pop that in. I want that nice and bright over here. I'm just moving around. I see some dark areas, so I'll grab the other one, the purple pink, and let that soak in here. Moving that around. Now I need to come back over here and add in, you can see that yellow green right here, so let me go ahead and lay that down as well. And then you see the darker, the pink purple, right? I'm actually going to grab some of that pink purple in here and move it along and just pull it down and pull it all the way down. And then I'm going to take green and go over the whole thing and just do a wash right over it. And I'm looking at the minutes here. Okay, we're not even quite 9 minutes in, which I think that's kind of fun, right? We're just really moving along fairly quickly, laying down this paint on this really beautiful Gladiolus. I really do love Gladiolus. They are so gorgeous. I love the way they unfold over the course of a couple of days, right? It's very interesting too. I see a lot of shades of green in here, which is really interesting. And I think, oh, I think this is a hooker's green, which is not part of my palette right now for spring, but I am going to add just a bit in here and just create a little bit more sense of green right there. And I'm going to come up over here because we have a pretty darker green right over there, right? I'm going to add that in. This, I'm going to bring this over here. It's wrapping around really, so I'm going to wrap this around as it's showing on my flower bud and pull that over. And I see some yellow, so we'll pull in some yellow. Paying attention to where the flower, there's a bit of a bump at the stem, and then it does go straight down. And it is a really thick stalk. You see, oh, I'm sorry, I'm bumping things. You see that purple right there? So I'm going to go ahead and grab that pink purpley color and just go right over the green, and you kind of get that brown color. Isn't that interesting how those colors just blend together? And I'm going to push it up a little bit over here and just dab a little bit right in here, that shadowing. And I see some of that. Oh, I put my hand in something. Be careful when you're going up and down that you don't drop your hand into where you've painted. We have this right here, which is actually fairly light, and I want to keep that integrity. I don't want to create, since this is a portrait, right? It's a portrait. It's not, I'm not trying to do a lot of expression, putting my own thoughts into it. I am trying to create a sense of this is what I see, and I'm painting this as close to what I'm seeing. I see some light right here, so I'm going to grab some yellow and just add in a little bit of a wash of yellow. You're going to notice you really won't see the yellow as an individual color. It's going to end up blending in. Rinse out my brush. You're also seeing too, probably if you're painting, you're noticing your paper might be buckling in a few areas. That's normal because we are adding quite a bit of water. Quite a bit of water here. So I'm going to add some more green here. We don't see the bud on this next stem. Well, we actually might see a little bit of it. I might put a little bit of pink right up there. But I'm just moving this down. And it's always really thinking to yourself, okay, when do I stop, right? When do I stop? Because we can certainly add too much paint, and I don't want to do that. In fact, even over here, I want to keep this a little bit lighter. I probably went too dark there, so I'm going to grab my paper towel, and I'm just going to dab that. Because as I'm looking, it is lighter over there. I'm going to let that go, and it's darker right here. Now, I do have an inside lighter green, not too much lighter, that I'm going to try to, and let me see, you can see that good. Okay, I'm going to move that into here, and I'm hoping I don't get it into the pink, because I'll be disappointed if I do. All right, we're going to just dance, dance, dance. All right, we did it. A little bit lighter shade there, but it's still pretty dark. And let's make sure we get that tip, because there is a point, and that one is a little bit purpley too, right? That tip. So let's go ahead and dab in a little bit of that pink purple. It's not going to show up pink purple. It's going to show up almost that brown color, and move that right around. I see a little bit of that purpley right here too, just a little bit. And so I'm going to add that in. And then back over here, this was the lighter side, this is the darker side. If you're noticing too, it's so interesting as you really start to look, and your eyes will start picking up color differentiations, different shading, right? So I'm going to add some pink back in there because it's definitely darker around there, and it even wraps around. So I'm going to just do a little bit of a wrap and let that sit, and then bring this back around. Okay. Now, honestly, I am at a point where I know I need to stop and let it sit. And really, I may come back and play with it a little bit more, and I'll show you what I've done. I do want to erase the pencil lines, right? But this was a great study of beautiful gladiolus. I do probably maybe want to add a little bit more color in there. Let's do that really fast, actually. And really, because there's not like a lot of white, but there is a lot of pink, and so I'm going to come back in here. I wanted to create that sense of those lines, so I'm not going to color everything in. Instead, I'm almost adding in another layer of color to some of the lines to create that sense of geometry. Is that the right word? I'm not the best with words sometimes. I say all sorts of funny things, and I mix words up. But if you've been watching for a while, you know that about me. I'm sure you've noticed that. All right, we're gonna go ahead and go down here though. Now the white does let things dance, that sense of dancing. So we wanna leave a little bit of white in. And I've grabbed a little bit more purple in my pink because I'm gonna add just that darker color over here. I definitely see some shadowing, so we'll go right in here, add a little bit more water, and just let that dance right as it will. And little squiggles here. Lovely. Beautiful gladiolus. Okay, I'm going to put this flower back with the other 4 stalks, and I know it's going to be blooming the next 4 days. It's going to be looking at I said 4 days. I don't know. It will be blooming over the next several days, I'm sure. And I'm just looking forward to enjoying that. I hope you enjoy the rest of your day. You enjoy painting, and you enjoy the beautiful month of May that we're having. I will see you guys very soon. Thank you for joining me for this beautiful portrait series as we painted a portrait of the gladiolus today. All right, you guys, I will see you very, very soon. Okay, everyone, so we are back, and I wanted just to come back and add in some more details. So what I've done is I have erased all of my lines, or at least most of my lines. So grab an eraser if you've been painting with me, erase your lines, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and add in just a little bit of detail with our gladiolus portraits. And you can see that it has, even in the one day that I've been away, the flowers are blooming beautifully. So we have a little bit, it's harder to sometimes capture even flowers to keep them still, right? Because they're also growing. So maybe take some pictures, but this actually shows me where those buds are moving to. So what I'm actually going to do now is take something a little bit different. I am going to pull paints, but I have these NeoColors, and I'm going to use these NeoColors to create some shadowing and some depth. And what I'm seeing too here is I'm going to go ahead and then just create some of those lines that I was seeing where the buds are kind of encapsulating the flower, right? The stems almost in a protective stance as the flower unfurls. So I'm going to just go ahead and take some of my NeoColor. I'm going to take a little bit of the yellow. And these are very much almost spring colors on the NeoColors, the yellow and the green. So that's why one of the reasons I thought it might be fun to add some more depth with them today. I'm just adding in some of those, the kind of not the wrinkles of the flowers, but that texture of the flower, right? And so I'm just kind of drawing them in today. And then we're going to go over all of this with the paintbrush. And so once again, I'm even just coloring just a little bit of pink right in here. And if you haven't worked with NeoColors, this is what they look like. This is the classic one. They're water-soluble wax pastels, and they are really fun to use with your watercolor to add detail and then add water, and they look like watercolor. So just really, really pretty. So I'm even going to add just a hair of purple where I'm seeing some shadowing just to create a sense of that darkness, right? So again, I should have taken some more pictures, but I didn't. So I'm just going to color in here some of the things that I'm seeing. And then I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to get my brush, and I'm going to get actually a little bit of pink paint on my brush, just a little bit. And then I'm going to come in here as well. So we're going to just move this around here. And yeah, hopefully you can see that. We have pretty good light in here today. I'm going to bring this in a bit closer for you. And just in here a little bit, I'm going to get some more water, clean off my brush. Again, I want a little bit of white, right? But I also want, I don't want these to be harsh lines. I am just bringing in all the color and then getting some more water, washing that off, moving this around. You can see too with these NeoColors, you can have a little bit more control as well, and everything's dry now. So that's looking really, really nice. Now I'm going to go ahead, before I go into the green, I'm going to let that dry for just a second. I'm going to come over here, and I can see some of the area, making sure you can see this, where I just know I need to add a little bit more darkness here, just shadowing right in there. I was also looking at just a bit in here. I'm going to put some more green over that. So it's just a different way of adding some detail, right? to our beautiful flowers. And this was another bud, a leaf coming up, and I think there was a flower sticking out. Maybe we'll just put a little bit of pink. We'll just color a little bit of that in there. I'm going to move that along here. Definitely playing up some of the yellow. I know on this side we had seen more of the lighter color. And so I am just blending this NeoColor right there, right on the page here. I can see too where I've got still some of that. I like how this dried right here where that color is really, really nice, where we have a beautiful blend of color, the dark going into the light, and it doesn't look unnatural. We have a little bit of a hard line here. So we might just, I'm just going to go ahead, a little bit of purple, a little bit of green, just right here. And I've got some lines I'm going to create. And I'm going to make those lines of the stem. Again, this is our close-up of the Gladiolus, right? We don't usually see these flowers so close up. So if it looks a little bit odd, that's partly it. We've almost kind of put them on steroids, right? We've just maximized these gorgeous flowers of what they look like if we were much, much smaller. I'm going to take my water. This is just water on this brush, and I'm going to go ahead and just move that around. And I'm going to bold this color down here. And you can see that yellow really pops out, right? I'm going to get some more water. As I pull in the green, that just blends right into it. And I'm going to pull that green down. I'm going to move it around here just a bit, erasing that solid line here. Making sure, okay, you can see that. Oh, sorry, let me pull it back up a bit so you can see that whole thing. Pulling this down, 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 coming up, coming around this flower here. I really do love the way that the Gladiolus stems, they almost have that protective shield around the petals. And I am just, again, moving this around. This opened up a bit more, so I'm going to go ahead and create that nice tip at the top and then pull it down, that darker part. And then too, you can add some more water and then just pull everything down. And too, if you see right here, I got a little bit outside my lines. I'm just going to come and blot it. Not a big deal. And then come with the edge of my brush and just go down, coming back up over here to finish up. And this is just lovely. Again, okay, we'll come right back up against this pink, letting that green just ease down now, right, where we are able to smooth it out. Bring this around here. This looks really, really nice. So I can tell you already the next video that we're going to do, the quick paint with me session, is we're going to back out and we're going to paint a stem of Gladiolus. And that is fun to go up close, and then it's fun to back out, and it's fun to have them side by side. They making a sort of collection of our study of flowers from this beautiful spring that we're having. All right, I'm going to clean out that brush, go right up here, add a little pink here, and then come over here. I don't think, now I'll show you too, you can actually wet this down and then add color too. So you can go either way. So I can add some detail in here where I can see those flowers unfurling. And then I can come back even in here with just a bit of purple and move that around. And then come back with the brush and just soften that up a bit. All right, you guys, isn't that lovely? I hope you enjoyed this. I know the between the two sessions, this one's a little bit longer today, but I wanted you to come in and see how we can really add those details to make our portrait pop. All right, you guys, I will see you next time.